Good afternoon all. So by now obviously Ashish sir would have already detailedly discussed about which one, the GS3 orientation session. By now we would have got a broader idea about how we are going to cover the subjects in bridge course and everything. But in general also forget about the course. We'll discuss about what should be the strategy for studying or for preparing GS2 from mains perspective. And so GS3 is done. Let's focus on GS2 now. So first point what you have to do is, so you have to be very cautious about that. What, let's say around 80 days is left now. It's already been a week of prelims. So let's say 80 days is left for mains. So within 80 days, by 1 month or let's say maximum 40 days, you should be ready with entire notes and revision and everything. So that next 40 days completely you can give for what? Every day you have to revise, every day you have to write. If you do that, that means you will have a very, very good chance. Those who are writing first mains, I am telling. Those, like let's say 2-3 people who have already given once or twice, so they already know what are those mistakes. Now they'll be knowing like what to do, what not to do and all those things. For them it's an advantage, relative advantage. I'm sure. Now the other ones, like let's say for example, a lot of you maybe you might be in 60s or 70s or something like that in the scores. Yes, I understand genuinely that you would have put a lot of effort. Maybe it might be your first or second or third depending on the number of attempts. But let us say for example, if you don't prepare for mains now, then what will happen? Whatever she faced like last year or whatever he might have faced last year, same problem when you write next year mains also, you are going to face the same problem. For simple reason, main syllabus is not going to change. The challenge is not going to change. Obviously, if in case we start thinking that anyhow, let me first clear prelims, then we'll take care of mains, like the same problem. Same problem, you're just postponing, you're not addressing it. So that's why what I'm genuinely trying to say is that those who are rating this mains, or those if in case you are not rating this mains also because of whatsoever reason also, make sure that those who are not rating this mains till December focus completely on mains preparation. When I say focus completely on mains preparation, you should have at least let's say content to write 15 marker answer for any kind of subtopic in the syllabus. Remember always, syllabus and PYQs are the only reference, they are the only gold mine. Any institution, question papers, any institution for that matter, it's only and only for practice. The more and more you are very well aware of which one, syllabus, every keyword, it's not like generally understanding, okay, GS2 consists of polity, governance, social justice, not like that. Each and every keywords like, okay, they have given words like historical underpinnings, evolution, basic structure, significant feature, those keywords you should be aware. Because normally they try to ask questions related to that only. Prelims is not like that. If you look at the prelim syllabus, there is nothing like broader syllabus itself. They just mention some 7-8 points in which they tell Indian issues related to Indian polity and governance. But what is not there? What do you mean by Indian polity and governance? Where is the clarity? But GS2 syllabus is not like that. We're going to discuss that in detail. By now you would have got a broader idea about how GS3 syllabus in detail is there, how they try to link each and every syllabus, sometimes interlinking between multiple subtopics of the same GS3 syllabus, all those things. So that is very, very important. Please, whenever you prepare for mains, make sure that you keep mains copy with you. Each and every keyword should be literally on your fingertips. Not only syllabus, plus the moment someone says, okay, what kind of questions are they asking from historical underpinnings or constitution related? You should be like, okay, fundamental rights is the most important. On fundamental rights, UPSC has normally focused on so and so. Article 21 is most famously repeated. Or Supreme Court judgments related to, you might have seen, we'll discuss that now. So all those are continuously they keep repeating. DPSP is not a very favorite topic for UPSC in mains. The only major topic they have touched is UCC. I'll show you that. Fundamental duty is not a favorite topic for UPSC in mains. Only once they have touched, that's so it's a very, very broad. Preamble, not a favorite topic in mains. Preamble is a favorite topic in prelims, if you recall. Remember, like almost 4 years continuously, they used to ask on what do you understand by negative liberty, positive liberty, the most appropriate definition of liberty, all those things. But preamble is not favorite topic in mains. Emergency, center-state relation, not a favorite topic. Federalism, very, very favorite topic. Parliament, the most favorite topic. Supreme Court, always. Panchayat Raj, always. Supreme Court landmark judgments, every single year you will get that. So executive, not very favorite, like parliament related, president related, all those things. Or council of ministers, or for that matter PM. As far as I recall, there is no one single question directly on PM. President they have asked about the pardoning power. We'll get into the details of that. And so same way, election, one of the very favorite topic. Election plus we'll combine, election plus RP Act we'll look into, I will take it as one group. So that way you should be aware. Because only if you are aware about those details, you will be like, okay, fine, I am ready for mains now. If you only broadly know and then whatever magazines available you read from that, then you are just falling behind content. And we obviously know over dumping of the content is the major problem of you guys. Some 4-5 years back, searching for content was problem. Now for you, over dumping. Too many websites, plus ChatGPT, plus Gemini, plus Meta, everywhere you can read. It's an advantage also in a way, it's a challenge also in a way, because it's very easy to get diverted. Fine? Okay, broadly keep that in mind. Now let's go to GS syllabus in detail. First I'll clarify, just to understand broadly, how does the marks get distributed over a period of 2013 to, as I told, we'll follow first, just to overall in the session, what we'll do. First we'll look at the syllabus, then related PYQs, broader core themes. From that, what kind of answers can we generate from that broadly? And then, what are the major current affairs issues which are in news? At least from 1.5 to 2 years, we have made a list. And then I'll show you how handwritten notes has to be there so that you can use it for your last time revisions. Understood? Okay, fine. Now, if you look at it, as I told, let's say broader division if you do. Polity and constitution part, on an average, I'm telling, you'll get 125 marks itself. Means 50% is from polity part itself. Then you'll have the governance part. Every year it is like 110 marker, 115 marker. That means 25. Last year it was an exception. If you have seen, they asked 210 marker, 115 marker. That means how much? 35 marks last year. So, but very rare. On an average, I'm telling, based on 2013 to 2024. Then you will have the social justice part. That is also more or less every year you will have fixed approximately 50 marks. 215 marker, 210 markers. Then you will have the IR part, which is again on an average, if you have seen, 50 marks. 215 marker, 210 marker. This is a broader distribution of the, marks with respect to the 4 broader categories of syllabus. But this is not enough for us. So what we have to do then? Now we have to get into the polity part in detailed discussion. Fine. Now let's look at the first one. Yeah, please keep noting it down. Just don't sit, because at least you should have a broader idea about all the details about it. First, note down the syllabus subtopic. Look at the keywords that is mentioned in the syllabus. They have clearly told, of course, it's related to the constitution. One keyword is historical underpinnings. Means largely you can take it as what? You remember Regulating Act 1773 to 1947 Indian Independence Act. But it is not a favorite topic of UPSC. Which one? Historical underpinnings is not favorite topic. That's whatever is there in your Lakshmikant in the beginning. Normally, it's not favorite topic for mains. Evolution also not a very favorite topic. The favorite topic is what? Features, amendments, provisions, basic structure. Within that, broadly you can divide into the major areas are as I have identified. As I told you now, fundamental rights, DPSP. 1 year they have asked a question on preamble. And then 1 year they have asked a question on emergency, financial emergency. Basic structure, multiple times they have asked. Now, what kind of questions have they asked on fundamental rights then? Because broadly about fundamental rights means what you study in your typical Lakshmikant, that kind of questions they don't ask. Obviously, they'll make it more interpretative. How? Just look at it. So this is your again 2024 question. Very favorite topic of UPSC. Probably this is third time they're asking on right to privacy itself. Right to privacy, intrinsic to life and personal liberty, and inherently protected under Article 21 of the Constitution. Remember that same Article 21 you observe how many times we will repeat Article 21 in this subtopic itself. Explain. Obviously that means that's your Puttaswamy judgment that broadly you have to explain. We all know how Supreme Court interpreted it, how it made it as part of Article 21, the triple test, everything. We'll write the answers, but not now. First, let's go to the understanding of the syllabus. Till here is your first subtopic. First subpart 1. Then comes here, in this reference, discuss the law relating to DNA testing of the child. And so because DNA testing also, there was a bill which was being discussed in the last 2-3 years, if you are aware about it, of the child in the womb to establish its paternity. Means, in broader way there, what they are trying to ask is, do you think if you conduct the DNA test of the fetus, is the right to privacy of the fetus being violated or not? or is the right to privacy of the mother being violated or not? But what if you want to test the paternity? What is the procedure? What are the Supreme Court judgments? Do you have any specific act related to that? So based on that, because one case was being heard in, I think, once in Delhi High Court and then probably the Allahabad High Court, they made this broader question. Sure, this is your very favorite topic. Look how many times Article 21 gets repeated. Look at this again. Because that year you had the landmark Supreme Court judgment. Puttaswamy judgment came in 2017. Examine the word they have used is what here? Scope. In general, if you write about Puttaswamy judgment, it doesn't work. You have to write about what specifically? Scope part you have to address. What do you mean by scope means what? Because of the case Puttaswamy judgment, do you think the scope of fundamental rights will increase further? Of course it will increase. If you recall, Article 21 itself is the most broadly interpreted article of Constitution. Recall that within the Golden Triangle, which one? Menaka Gandhi case, 14, 19, 21. 21 is the most broadly interpreted article. Within 21, right to privacy is more broadly interpreted. Because right to privacy, now what all will it include, as Supreme Court itself has told? Right to choice, right to which one? Right to dress, right to food, right to be forgotten, right against digital surveillance, right for reproductive rights of women, right to bodily autonomy. Now they are also talking about right to abortion, right to personality. If you have heard last year's Delhi High Court told one, imagine to what extent it gets spread. That's what is what? Examine the scope of fundamental rights in the light of the latest judgment of Supreme Court on right to privacy. Now what you have to counter it also. Okay, fine, you are telling that because of this the scope gets broadened, agreed. Historical context also, if it is a 15 marker, you have to write about what? That Ambedkar had argued in the Constituent Assembly itself that right to privacy should be what? Fundamental right. But then the Constituent Assembly did not accept it. Then later in one of the judgment, if you have heard, Karak Singh case, Supreme Court said right to privacy should not be a fundamental right. Means it's not part of fundamental right. Now in Puttaswamy judgment, they have told it should be. Now the counterpoint what you have to generate is what? If you examine the scope of right to privacy or fundamental right to that extent, then what will happen to what will be the conflict between fundamental rights and, let's say, national security? Let us say, for example, to conduct surveys. How will you collect the data of people? You remember Aadhaar itself was questioned based on that why are you collecting the fingerprints and iris? Last year, if you recall, Bihar census, that also was questioned saying why are you collecting the cash related data of people? National security. Let's say if government wants to go through the whatever, remember Project Netra, like that, so many things are there. Then how will you tackle terrorisms? National security issues. Or income tax authorities wants to collect some private information, but right to privacy issue is coming. Then how will you address or tackle the issues of tax evasion, tax avoidance, all those things? Those are all big challenges. So hence it is getting very, very difficult, or it will get very difficult considering the way right to privacy will broaden. That perspective you need to have. Of course, depending on that, you can compare with what? Remember European Union General Data Protection Regime. So what is the scope there? What is the scope here? That broader perspective you need. So that means again link to which article right to privacy means? Of course 21. Now again look at it. Yeah, right to privacy is intrinsic, not this one. Sorry. Enormous, okay. Because this is with respect to which one? Right to life and personal liberty. Again the same aspect. I think part of it is missing. We'll discuss that later. But again, look at the same article. Obviously, when you say right to life and personal liberty is the same. Article 21, which is the question related to progressive society. Okay. This is broader one, but look at the other two. Where are those other two? Yeah, look at this. Right to clean environment. Entire legal regulations, whatever, burning crackers during Diwali. Same thing again. Article 21. This you leave it. This you leave. This is emergency related. Ka panchayats. But we had other two. Maybe we have added that under your. Remember that Supreme Court I told that 2023 two other questions were there with respect to constitutionalization of the gender justice. I'll just read out the question if in case you have forgotten. In 2021, not 2021, 2023, Gender justice, how Supreme Court has given broader interpretation of gender justice, the constitutional provisions and case laws related to that. 2022 was what? Constitutionalization of the environmental problems by Supreme Court. Remember, right to clean environment, MC Mehta case, and then Vellore Citizens Welfare Forum case was there, sustainable development, which on this Bhopal gas tragedy case, limited liability principle changed to absolute liability principle. So polluter pays principle was another case was there. So all those are constitutionalization of the environmental problems by Supreme Court, again Article 21. 23, gender justice. Recall your gender justice, which one? You can read the women angle also, transgender angle, which one? Of course, Nalsa case, the transgender declares as the third gender, and obviously you have to treat them as the backward classes, all the welfare measures they should get. Another one, of course, related to that, Navteej Singh Johar case, right to gender identity is part of Article 21. See how many times Article 21 gets repeated. That means that is our most important focus. So that means once, first what you have to derive from here. What you have to derive is that, just to understand broadly, within this, fundamental rights is the most important part for us. Within this, what is the most important part? Article 21 and how is it being interpreted is very, very important for us. If you leave out this, they will sometimes ask about your 14 or sometimes 19 clause 1 subclause A. These are our most important focus. Few others are there that we'll again discuss under your probable question. I'll tell you under your current affairs aspect. Just to look at freedom of speech and expression, look at it. See, this is very famous question. What do you understand by freedom of speech and expression? Subpart 1. Does it cover hate speech also? Subpart 2. Why do you think films in India are treated on slightly different plane? Discuss subpart 3. So 3 subparts are there and all the subparts you need to address separately. Remember last year also there was an issue in which Supreme Court told that we need a detailed act to tackle hate speech, current affairs. Chances of getting hate speech question getting repeated is very, very less, but we should discuss about that. Then section 66A, if you recall, which one? Which Singhal? Shreya Singhal case, the landmark case. Section 66A declared unconstitutional for violation of 19 clause 1 subclause A. You can also link it to Supreme Court judgment because that year you had the judgment. So you got that question. But a very, very famous one. This we told. This is under DPSP then. As I told, the only question that is asked under DPSP till now, which is what? The very famous, which even this year it has been in news regularly from the last 2-3 years. Of course, we'll write as the main topic. By now, we'll be aware about obviously the content part. But this is one of the very, very favorite expected topic again this year. Understood? UCC right from constitutional debates till here, you have to discuss about that. Then, only question that is asked on preamble till now. Which one? Discuss each adjective attached to the word republic. Whatever you have. Got it right? Sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic. Attached to the word republic. Then you don't have to discuss which one then. You don't have to discuss equality, liberty, because they are clearly telling you each adjective attached to the word republic. You should only focus on that. You don't have to focus on equality, liberty, all those things. They are not asking that. Then the second part they are asking is what? Are they defendable in the present circumstances? And I have already told you multiple times, even in classes also, if you are OGP students, you should always and always support the government, support the constitution in your mains as well as interview. Fine. Even in your, most of the times I keep telling that never bring the Hindu attitude in mains. So that is not allowed. Not allowed. It is actually rejected. You are going to become a civil servant. Please think that way. That I keep telling always and always. Don't have a journalist mindset. Even if you have it, don't reflect it in your mains answers and interview. Always a civil servant attitude. If you identify some problems also, what do you have to do? You should have a constructive criticism. And again, a civil servant attribute is what? You should not just identify the problem. If you identify, what you need to do then? Suggest solution. Just identifying, living it is not the attitude of a civil servant. Come up with solution. One or other, at least suggest you have to. And in conclusion, what you have to always be? In conclusion, you should have to always be as optimistic as possible, irrespective of whatever the challenges are. And so, if you are very negative in your conclusion, that will easily take a impact, that will easily have an impact on your answers. Half a mark will get reduced if you are negative in your overall tone of the answer. Whatever criticism, you have to be constructive. Clear? That will write. When the more and more answers you will write, you'll understand that. This another basic question. Again, just for your clarity, even in mains, what UPSC does, from each and every syllabus, not each and every syllabus subtopic, from each paper, at least 2 to 3 questions will be from very, very basics, which you normally study in your Lakshmikant, they will ask that. But very direct question, normally 2, sometimes 3, like this kind of question. Your typical Lakshmikant question, look at it. Under what circumstances financial emergency can be proclaimed and what are the consequences? Direct question. There is no interpretation, there is no linkages to the current affairs, no Supreme Court judgments, nothing. Then this was in news that year, that's why they asked, this is not a theme. This is not a theme. Theme is what we identified. Fundamental rights is a theme. Within that, what is the theme? Article 21 is a theme. If you leave Article 21, freedom of speech and expression is a theme. If not, Article 14 sometimes. Others, we are not saying they can't ask, but multiple Supreme Court judgments also are related to that only. We'll look at the current affairs, you'll get an idea. Understood? Then DPSP, the only thing they have is what? UCC. If they leave out UCC, the other thing is what? Which is your basics. What? Discuss the evolution or explain the evolution of the conflict between fundamental rights and DPSP. Recall your Champakam Dorairajan case, and then Golaknath case, and then 24th Amendment, 25th Amendment, Keshwananda Bharati case, Minerva Mills case, Doctrine of Harmony. That's again a very basic. Chances of that being asked is less because there is no current affairs angle, there is no interpretation. So they have to stick to UCC only then. Or they may make anything broad, but there is no very less scope. Fundamental duties, very less scope. They are still not tasked. Look at it. No specific question on fundamental duties till now. Understood? Yeah, so because when you read Lakshmikant for mains, that's a different way of reading. It is not written from mains perspective. Then this one is very favorite topic. Which one? Parliament's power to amend the constitution is limited power, cannot be enlarged into absolute power. Explain whether Parliament under 368 can destroy basic structure by expanding its. In other words, under 368, can Parliament try and, which one? Try and amend and try to destroy the basic structure or not? Obvious answer is no, it's not possible. You have to write about the basic structure, how it evolved, what is the importance, how it tries to limit the Parliament's power. And remember, limited power of the Parliament itself is what? Basic structure, and you can't just change it. And if you try to avoid this, independence of judiciary you are violating. That itself is again basic structure. And who is the ultimate interpreter of constitution and guardian of constitution? Supreme Court. How will you compromise the Supreme Court's power itself? Not allowed. You should have that kind of broader understanding. Basic structure I don't have to tell. Very core theme always. Again this one, constitutional morality. Always again related to broadly your article 368 itself or amendment of constitution. Deeply rooted in constitution and is founded on its essential facets. Explain the doctrine with the help of relevant. If try to recall, even in your normal class also, I keep talking about it. Recently also it was in news. In 2-3 cases, Supreme Court referred to constitutional morality. What are the major cases you have till now? Now, yeah, exactly. One is Navtej Singh Johar case, in which Supreme Court said that what? Constitutional morality will prevail over social morality. Sabrimala case, Supreme Court said constitutional morality will prevail over customary or traditional morality. NCT Delhi versus Union of India case, Supreme Court said that yeah, in a democracy, especially parliamentary system, we agree that elected representatives are supreme. Means Supreme Court said that CM of Delhi will get ultimate power in decision making with respect to Delhi. But what Supreme Court said? CM and LG should not keep fighting for their superiority. Both should uphold constitutional morality. And when you write this, you have to mandatorily mention what Ambedkar spoke about constitutional morality in the Constituent Assembly. And how did he define, if you recall? He said that you can have the best constitution in the world, but its success depends on what? To what extent people are following the values and principles of the constitution in their day-to-day life. And that is what he says is what? Constitutional morality. And especially he expects that people in power should uphold constitutional morality, or else constitution will not succeed. And recently, why is it in news? Remember which one? This recent, the Tamil Nadu governor case, which is a very favorite. Everybody by now will be aware about it. When Supreme Court directly granted what? Assent to the 10 bills. That too is what? Look at it. 2 issues are there in that Supreme Court, in the governor case. One is governor issue. Second one is what? Article 142. How can Supreme Court directly give the assent? Recall article, exactly, article 142. Supreme Court can issue any direction or decree or order to do complete justice with respect to any matter pending before it. Any matter means what? Literally any matter. It's the interpretation is left to Supreme Court. Twice or thrice article 142 was in news. Recall last year, Chandigarh mayor election issue. Recall that? So there was some controversy. Directly they recounted the votes and declared a new mayor. Article 142. Before that, Rajiv Gandhi convicts directly Perari Valan case. Supreme Court released them directly, even though the mercy petition was pending. 142. So continuously it is in news. In a way related to that, recently also they referred to constitutional morality in that. Means for Tamil Nadu governor, Supreme Court said what? That the Tamil Nadu governor should have upheld what? Constitutional morality. He is trying to misinterpret the constitution was the keywords. In a way related to your basic structure, though they have not mentioned the word, Supreme Court keeps a check on the arbitrary power of the parliament in amending constitution. Of course, you need to bring basic structure reference again. This is kind of not exactly in news, but every time one or other issue will be there. Recall this with respect to what? Need for creating smaller states in India or new states in India. Again, last year, Bill Pradesh was in news. The Bill tribes were demanding that Uttar Pradesh, so obviously from at least 10-20 years, Uttar Pradesh has to be divided into 4, continuously in news related to that. Because that year they asked, look at the year, because what you had? Andhra Pradesh State Reorganization Bill, Telangana issue. Many state governments further bifurcate geographical areas into districts and talukas, whatever. Can it be justified that more number of smaller states would bring effective governance? But the key point is what? If you don't link those smaller states to governance largely, that means your answer will again lose the relevance. You can't just write need for small states challenges. Everywhere what you have to link it to? Will it lead to better governance or not? That is the point that you need to address. That's why each and every keyword you need to identify. If you identify only one broader keyword and only address that, you are only addressing the demand of the question superficially. So demand matters the most, right? Yeah. Then this is your second broader subtopic under your syllabus. Now just note down once. Not a very favorite topic in mains. Separation of power. You can broadly mention like that. Only few questions are there. Now what are those questions? Mention the separation of power, it's fine. One is this. Do you think constitution is not based on strict separation of power, but on what? Ours is not based on strict separation of powers, ours is based on checks and balances. Obviously, yes. There are so many points, I'll just broadly tell. You know that obviously India doesn't follow strict separation. Supreme Court in Ram Javaya case, in Indira Gandhi case also has told, we don't follow strict separation. What we follow? Flexible separation of power. That is in a way checks and balances. And we know that how judiciary will check executive and legislature, how legislature will check executive, how executive will check what do you call as this, how political executive will check permanent executive, triple chain of accountability aspect. All those words broadly you have to mention. And checks and balances itself is what? Basic structure. And here you have to keep referring to the term called as what? Recall the basics. That the entire constitution is based on the principle of constitutionalism. Means what? Limited power. All those you have to keep referring. Because remember, in nowadays, if you have seen, people are scoring 120 plus also, 115 plus also in your GS-2. GS-1 and 3 is getting difficult. You might have observed the scores of even the toppers. 2, even above 120, a very high chance. Of course, you might have seen so many students also have got 120 plus, even those who are part of the same rich course also. Ethics, where you have the scope, even 130 plus, even 140 plus also you have scope in ethics. We never know. Of course, they might be scaling it also. That's why GS2, GS3 is getting difficult. That all we can't help. Next year they may scale GS1 or GS2 or GS4, or they may increase the scores of GS3 also. Anything is possible. See, ultimately remember, it's the, what do you call this? Ultimately, mains itself is what? Reference game. In other words, if everybody is getting 80, you have to get what? 85, 95 to 10 marks minimum, you have to get more. In GS2, 100 is the average. If you complete all the questions, 100, 105 like that. That means if you are getting anything like 115, 120, that means you are minimum 10, 15 ahead. That's the game. If ethics average is 120 now, almost 120 is average. If you're getting in 130s or 140s, that means you're 15, 20 marks ahead. That is how you have to look at it. You cannot look at it in an absolute term that, okay, GS3 anyhow I'm getting 80s, so let me not focus much, not the game. The game is what? Average is in 70s. If you're getting in 80s means you're already 10 marks ahead there. Or average is 80s, you get 90s, you're already 10 marks ahead. So don't look at it that way that, okay, anyhow it's 90 in GS3, I'll focus on ethics because I'll get 140. Everybody is getting 130s then. So understand the game properly in mains. Clear? Yeah, okay, fine. This one is one, recall, we keep talking about something called as judicial doctrines. There are so many judicial doctrines which normally doesn't matter much for you, both prelims as well as mains. Doctrine of pith and substance, doctrine of colorable legislation, doctrine of latches, doctrine of ancillary legislation, doctrine of harmonious construction. Doctrine of harmonious construction, people confuse with the Minerva Mills case doctrine of harmony. It's not that. Here harmonious construction means what? When there is conflict between multiple laws, Supreme Court should try to interpret, or judiciary should try to interpret laws in such a way that it should try to make sure that both the laws will get implemented. In other words, Supreme Court should not interpret laws in such a way that if it is A law versus B law, okay, declare B law as unconstitutional, only implement A law, not like that. How we should try to implement? Larger part of both the laws should get implemented. That's why look at it, harmonious construction. If the conflict is between FR and DPSP, Supreme Court should always not give importance to FR. How should they try to do? Try to do in such a way that both the laws, where one is trying to uphold FR, another is trying to uphold DPSP, how can you harmoniously interpret both so that both is implemented? If you try to interpret or give priority to one over other, that means you are not harmoniously interpreting. So understood? That is harmonious construction. For example, the very famous, we'll discuss that in a Kerala education bill also they told, even in a way Minerva Mills also they told, remember FR and DPSP are both what pillars of, two wheels of the same cart. That's in a way harmonious construction, but you should not write only Minerva Mills case. Clear? At that aspect, federal supremacy is obvious, you will understand. Federal supremacy means what? The national government, or you can say the union government, will get greater power. In other words, it's referring to what your quasi-federalism, that aspect. Yeah, see, look at it, separation of power, that means is not a very, very favorite topic. Actually, you had another question also. No need to focus too much on this. People try to dig deep and try to do research on which one? Dispute redressal mechanism, institutions and everything, which is not necessary. It's not a favorite topic. If you look at dispute redressal mechanisms also, you will get like what? Lokpal, Lok Adalat, all those things. Remember, Lokpal was a question in your prelims. So, and if you look at one of the way, not always, one of the trait of UPSC is what? Whatever topics are asked in prelims, what they try to do? Sometimes they try to repeat the same topics in your mains also. Not always, I'm not telling always, but yeah, they do have the tendency. Fine. So, Lokpal question, you may have a chance that it might get repeated, because recall Supreme Court was also looking into the case. If you recall why Lokpal question was in news, that does the Lokpal have the power to inquire into the corruption allegation against High Court judges? PM question was there earlier, High Court judges, and what Supreme Court told? Supreme Court told, not a not like a final judgment, interim order or something they have told, no, High Court judges need not be interpreted or put under the definition of public servants. Hence, in other words, what does that mean? Lokpal cannot inquire into corruption allegation against High Court judges. It is not a final judgment yet, the case is still pending. Maybe that might be the news. I'm not telling exactly because you never know, but based on that you can interpret. But I have put all the bodies, any kind of bodies, under separate topic called as bodies. So let's not bring topics of bodies here. Clear? Yeah, okay. That is your SOP. Then third, every year from the last, almost till, I'll show you the questions, almost till 2018 or 19, this topic was not even touched by UPSC. In the last few years, more or less every year you have a question on that. Fine. And again, you look at the question and you tell me, because see, if you look at the aspect, what are they telling? With other countries, how many countries will you study? Is it practically possible? Indian constitution itself, to study that, imagine how many days you need, how many judgments, how many cases, how many articles, this, that, interpretations. How will you study all the other countries' constitution? So basic theme, what you have to identify, look at the questions, you'll get an idea. Last year question, he discussed India as a secular state, compare it with US constitution. Your very simple basics, if you recall. Remember, two types of federalism, French or Western or negative, Indian or Asian or positive secularism. Doesn't matter much, even if it is US secularism, it's the same. It's a favorite topic. 3 times they have asked the same question. One question, can you recall? What can France learn from Indian secularism? That also was the repeated one. So this is which country then? US. Then look at it. This is 2018, but still, two large democracies examine the basic tenets. That is not tenant, a mistake. Tenet means principles on which two political systems are based. Clear? So India and US then. Again look at another one. What can France learn from Indian constitution's approach to secularism? Whatever you wrote, we discussed here, exactly same question, but they have mentioned it as France here. Nothing changes because French model, US model is broadly Western model of secularism. That means France is one country. Then judicial systems of India and UK seem to be converging as well as diverging, because there was an article that year, I think the Hindu or something, so they have just picked it from there. We'll discuss the answers, don't worry. In your highlight the key points of convergence, means what they're trying to say. That means India and UK judiciary both are having some common what do you call this, characteristics now, means both are converging. In some way both are diverging also. You need to identify that and say, because remember, in UK they follow parliamentary sovereignty, they don't have judicial review there, but we have judicial review. They did not have Supreme Court for a long time, now they have established Supreme Court, and they have integrated judiciary, we also have integrated judiciary. So that points we need to broadly mention, we'll come to that later. We have judicial activism and all those things, they don't have that. Again look at it, right to equality in US and India. Again look at it, President of India, President of France, that they have not asked anything. Elections, because that year, I think this was 2023, they have not mentioned there, I think 23 question it was. 22 question, election of India versus election of French president. Because just before mains, there was election of India's president also, there was election of French president also. So they just asked broader question, compare the elections of President of India with President of France. Because remember, French follows hybrid system. There is a bit different election method. British and India parliamentary sovereignty. India's, because obviously you know, India follows what? Constitutional supremacy, limited power of parliament. What does Britain follow? Parliamentary sovereignty. Recall, you know, in your basics of Lakshmikant also they have told that according to Professor Dicey, parliamentary sovereignty of Britain includes three broader principles. What is it? That the UK parliament can do anything and everything except make a man a woman and a woman a man. There is no difference between legislative power and constituent power of British parliament, because what they don't have, they don't even have a written constitution. There is no concept called as amendment of constitution. And in UK they don't have judicial review because they follow parliamentary sovereignty. Any act passed by the British parliament cannot be declared unconstitutional by British judiciary. But in India we have constitutional supremacy, so you have to write the differences, because we have a written constitution, federalism, independent judiciary, judicial review, all of that. Fine? Yeah, so if you look at it, you tell me which are the countries they are comparing here. Which one? US, UK, France. There is no way they can ask anything other than that. If they want to ask, they may ask about, we have done those questions, we'll discuss. Let's say Canada, they may compare Indian federalism, Canada federalism, what India has borrowed from them, something like that. Or another favorite question which is still pending is judicial appointment procedures in other countries. Because how is India judges appointed in India? How are they appointed in other countries? They may make it broad. In US, in UK, in Canada, like that. Few pointers are there, we need to note them. Other than that, you don't have major scope for any other aspects. That they have to ask a question only on them. That's the theme. They cannot. What do you think they'll ask about India and Russian constitution? They can't, because Russia is not one of the very powerful or one of the successful democracy. They have to compare with democracies only. They cannot compare with other countries. It's not possible. Clear? Or they have to change the complete pattern of asking the question. That is not so easy to be done in mains, because remember in your prelims, 1 year back, 2 years back, what they started? They started 1 statement correct, 2 statement correct. Now this year what they started? 3 statement and then tell that. Those kind of things, I mean, to that level of innovation, in mains chances are less for simple reason. Syllabus is very, very detailed. They may, I'm not saying no, chances are like 5 to 10%. Every year, on an average, remember, any GS mains, any optional mains, 2/3 of the questions are repeated from the same theme. So that's why actually mains is the real game. Mains is the relatively easy game also, because of the certainty. Prelims is what? Very, very uncertain. Mains is more certain, but challenge is more here, because the reason is you have to remember a lot, you have to write a lot, but they would have told you also, probably Ashish sir, or I'm just repeating again, what does UPSC clearly tell in your which one? GS notification or UPSC notification? The intention of mains is not to test your memory or information. What is it? It is to test, yeah, exactly. It is to test your intellectual traits. It is to test your analytical ability. It is to test your ability to take a stand on conflicting socio-economic issue. So not merely facts, not merely memory. Of course, you need them to substantiate your argument. But remember, even yesterday, I think Vinay sir was talking about it. So as of now, what has happened? Analysis, argumentation matters the most. You cannot just keep telling Niti Aayog, World Bank. So you cannot keep on saying only that. Or not like just only mentioning Supreme Court case. What do you have to write? What did Supreme Court use? The logic you have to mention. Like for example, remember Justice Chandrachud has described basic structure as North Star of Indian Constitution. Justice Chandrachud has described that right to dissent is what? Safety valve of Indian democracy. That statements you need. Ambedkar had described constitutional morality as so and so. Ambedkar has described CAG as that. Argumentations and statements we need. Not only saying Navtej Singh Johar doesn't work. You have to write the statement like what? Constitutional morality will prevail over social, that statement you need. Lord Acton says so and so. James Madison had said so and so about judicial activism. If you don't write the arguments and you just write the case, what does the evaluator feel? Okay, you've by-hearted it, that's why you've written it there. You don't have the hold on the topic. So they need the hold. They need to know that you have a very strong analytical ability. That is how the game is going towards. Because for simple reason, every serious candidate is able to generate the what? Facts and pointers. Because if you have notes, you will generate. Are you able to bring with your which one? Originality, creativity, argumentations? That's where you stand out. Clear? Okay, fine. That's what we'll keep focusing on that. This is one broader aspect. Now this is with respect to your, as I have done it as PYQ group 1. PYQ group, where is it? Group 2. Which is obviously another very, very favorite, as I keep telling. Which one? Legislature. Within that, it's not state legislature which is favorite. We are just favorite. Parliament is very, very favorite. Within that, not the entire parliament. Because remember, in parliament, we keep studying so many things. Term of Rajya Sabha, this of all those things. You can't ask a mains question on that. There are some areas where they can ask mains question. You look at the PYQ, you will only tell me what are the major PYQ aspects. You look at this, we'll come to that later. I'll tell you that why they have asked that. Look, this first is major theme area under parliament. Which one what? Parliamentary committee, very favorite topic of UPSC in parliament. Explain the structure of parliamentary committee system, and then how far have specifically they have asked about whom? Recall, very basics. What are your financial committees means? Public Accounts Committee, Estimates Committee, Undertakings Committee. Helped in institutionalization of Indian Parliament. That's favorite topic. See how many times they repeat about committees then. First let's talk about committees, then we'll come back. Look at this again. Why do you think committees are considered to be useful for parliamentary work? Discuss the role of estimates committee specifically. Fine. Question is on committee only. Second part they asked about which one? Estimate. First part you have to talk about broader committee, importance of parliamentary committees, significance. It's a very favorite topic. Again another one, I think another time also they have asked about it. Broadly, even if you look at this also, you can also refer to committees here, because look at the question. To what extent, in your view, Parliament is able to ensure accountability? Article 75, Clause 3, collective responsibility of Council of Ministers to House of People is the question. Within that, obviously, you can write about question hour, 0 hour, adjournment motions, no confidence motion, committees also. Councils. Again, look at this. Do you think department related parliamentary see? One is financial committee, 1 year. Next year, 1 year estimates committee. This another year, departmental committees. But ultimately it is more or less points will overlap only. Department related parliamentary standing committees keep the administration on its toes. That's a very favorite topic. Then another favorite topic. Keep looking at it. Look at this question. Once a speaker, always a speaker. Which country's model? UK. Do you think the practice should be adopted? Whatever, if you look at it. That means the question is broadly on whom? Speaker. Correct? Look at the same theme again. Do you discuss the role of presiding officers of state legislature in maintaining order, impartiality? That means same. Speaker of Lok Sabha became Speaker of State Legislature. That's it. Again, look at it. Discuss the role of Vice President of India as the chairperson of Rajya Sabha. That means what? Same, exactly 3 years, exact same question. Nothing changes. But 1 year they made us more broader. Once a speaker, always a speaker. So UK model you have to refer. So presiding officer is another major theme. Last year also deputy speaker controversy was there. So one or other time speaker issues will always be there. Remember last year, a few months back. So what Rajya Sabha tried to do? Rajya Sabha tried to remove Vice President. Jagdeep Dhankar removal, they tried, right? Of course, it did not succeed, but they tried. Again, Vice President controversy. But whatever, presiding officer is the second theme. What is the first theme we told? Parliamentary committee is the first theme. Now look at another theme. This one you look at it. Individual parliamentarians' role is on a decline. Means overall the question is about what? Decline of the parliament is the question. Which in turn, whatever they use, adversely affected the quality of debates, outcomes and all those things. So decline of parliament is the theme. Please keep noting it down if you don't know. If you have done all these analysis, it's fine then. Now again look at this question. Role of individual MPs as role of individual MPs has diminished over the years. As a result, healthy debates on exactly same pattern can you identify. It's the same question actually. Fine. For if in case you overlook that question, I am just making you go through it again. Look at the question. Individual parliamentarians' role is on decline, which has adversely affected quality of debates and their outcome. Reread this question. Role of individual MPs has diminished. As a result, again what? Healthy, constructive debates are not usually witnessed. How far can you attribute this to? Specifically, they have linked to which one? The anti-defection law in your prelims, if you have seen 2 questions they have asked on anti-defection law. Because from the last 3-4 years, we all know Maharashtra issue, before the Karnataka issue, and then Rajasthan issue, and then Madhya Pradesh issue, Manipur issue. Multiple times it was in news. So this year they asked 2 questions. They have not asked a specific broader question on anti-defection law till now in mains. This is the only reference. That too they have linked it to parliament decline. That's another one. Yeah, then another one, not directly, but you can indirectly link the same question also. Look at this. Rajya Sabha has been transformed from a useless stepney tire to the most useful supporting organ. So that means Overall about parliament, either decline or something, they have told Rajya Sabha, but here they have told it in a positive way, that earlier it was a useless stepney tire, now what it has become. But of course, you can highlight the loopholes also, that how Rajya Sabha has functioned well. You might have heard that they tried to introduce a lot of bills like transgender, rights of transgenders bill. So they tried to defend states' interest in GS-2 bill, in land acquisition bill. They have blocked a lot of bills which has gone to joint sitting like dowry prohibition bill, POTA bill. And so they discuss the issues in detail. For example, farm bill, surrogacy bill, data protection bill. Relatively, quality of MPs is much better. The number of days they function is relatively more. Number of questions they ask is relatively more. However, the loopholes, because they're trying to bypass Rajya Sabha using money bill. Rajya Sabha has no role in budget. Nominated MPs quality has come down. Rajya Sabha is famously, positively you can describe Rajya Sabha as what? The house for balancing what? Federal equilibrium. Means they protect the state interest. The house of elders, house of healthy discussions. Negatively, what is it described as? It's a secondary chamber, blocking chamber, although and house of fallen horses. They're all negative criticisms. Those who get repeated goes there, all of that aspect. Broadly, all of that you need to mention here. This is Rajya Sabha angle. Means largely parliamentary decline. Now another theme. This we have done, right? Okay. This one, very basic question, doesn't get repeated, so you can't take it as a theme. As I told, in any major, any paper, 1 or 2 questions or sometimes 3 will be what? Very, very basics. Like remember financial emergency question. This is that question. Indian Constitution has provisions for holding joint sitting. Article 108. Enumerate the occasions. Also mentions reasons thereof. Reasons thereof means what? Why few bills are allowed joint sitting, why few bills are not allowed joint sitting. That reasons you need to mention. Normally, students will focus still here. The moment they look at it, what will they feel? That's a typical, oh fine, at least now I got a direct Lakshmikant question. Start with 108, directly write the basics. Which is true, but if you miss out on with reasons thereof, at least 1 mark, half a mark is gone. That reasons you need to mention. That's why the first trait of what, like how you do it in prelims. The moment you read mains questions, what you have to do? All the keywords identify and identify the subparts. If you don't identify the keywords and subparts, one or other way you will miss out on either a keyword you will miss or subpart will miss. That's the most important first thing that we need to do. This one again in news very largely. You tell me. Last year, even last year also I kept telling that it will be a mains question, but unfortunately UPSC did not ask that. What is the question related to? Codification of parliamentary privileges. Article 105, Article 194. Last year you had a landmark judgment. Which one? Huh? Yeah, JMM bribery case, officially called JMM is the famous name, officially called as what? PV Narasimha Rao case 1998, in which in 1998 Supreme Court had told that you cannot register a corruption case against MPs with respect to their speech or voting on the floor of the House. Last year what Supreme Court reversed? Reversed it by a 7 judgment and told you can register a corruption case against them. Understood? It's a landmark judgment actually. That's why last year also we expected that this question will continue. I mean, we'll be asked again. Because in India, parliamentary privileges are what? Not codified yet. No one specific law till now. But this year also it's a theme. But it's not a very repeated topic. Current affairs angle, I am telling. Narasimha Rao judgment. Okay, 1 year Rajya Sabha Vahisa, another year what? Legislative Council. Directly they are asking you 169, 171. Explain the constitutional provisions under which they are created. 169. Recall, State Assembly has to pass a resolution by special majority, absolute majority and 2/3 present and voting. When it goes to Parliament, they have to pass it by simple majority, both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Establishment. 171, composition, recall 1/3, and then 112, 112, 16. That one basic you need to write. In addition, review the working and current status. Means critically analyze the functioning of legislative councils. Because that year it was in controversy. If you recall, from the last 4 or 5 years, West Bengal has asked that they want a council, but Andhra Pradesh had demanded that they don't want a council. Odisha demanded they want a council. So because of that, broadly they made this question. Not very recent, 3-4 years back. This one we touched. Yeah. So that means you tell me what are the major themes under your parliament chapter? Committees, very important. Parliamentary decline, very important. And presiding officers. These three are repeated themes. Then it depends on the current affairs. So many are there in news. We'll discuss that. But Rajya Sabha is very, very favorite again. Though it's not a very repeated. Rajya Sabha, very high chances one or other way. And then of course you had the new parliament building now. You have one nation, one election, which you can put under election also. You had women's reservation. Remember, specific question on women reservation they have still not asked in your mains. So that is chances of very high women's reservation. One nation, one election. The last year also they have asked. We'll show that. But chances again. Delimitation. Very, very important issue pending. Article 182, Article 170. Multiple times. They have last year they asked a prelims question on delimitation commission. Mains very often repeated one. I mean not repeated. Very highly in news. Very high chances. Delimitation. One nation, one election, women reservation. Clear? Few other left out areas are what? Broader question of need for parliamentary reforms in India. They have still not touched the very broad question. Parliamentary sovereignty they have touched. That we have not put it here. We have put it under comparison of Indian constitution with that of other countries. Fine. Parliament every year 2 question fix. No change at all. Minimum 2. Sometimes it can be 3 also. Constitution aspect, the first topic we saw, every year 2 question fix. One is fundamental rights, fix anything they ask. They should ask a question on fundamental rights. Impossible not to ask. Fine. Then election. Last year we saw, I don't have to tell, imagine how many times have you studied in current affairs. Which one? Electoral reforms as a broader theme. Broader theme under election first you write, electoral reforms. That's the most broad theme. And next theme is what? Reforms related to ECI specifically. Or either ECI suggesting reform or reforms within ECI. Very favorite theme. Of course, in now the current affairs angle, which I don't have to tell. Last year also they touched one nation, one election. Then it depends on which issue is in controversy. Because remember last year controversy. Not controversy exactly. Anup Baranwal case. Election Commission, Selection Committee. Parliament has already passed an act. That is there. This again look at it. Election Commission's role in the light of evolution of they linked it to MCC. But Election Commission is the very hot actually Election Commission, few people if you look at the subcategorization they put it under bodies. I have put Election Commission under election as a broader theme. Though UPSC in the syllabus has not mentioned election as a theme. But you find a lot of topics, that's why we have made it as election as a theme. Then EVM controversy, I don't have to tell every year. This year you can't expect a EVM issue, but broader issue of elections, electoral reforms, election commission, one nation, one election. Simultaneous election, again repeat, but that was in 2017. Then reforms suggested by election commission, but broadly it is what again? Electoral reforms. There are still few pending areas. Because of the electoral bonds issue, remember last year Supreme Court declared electoral bonds as unconstitutional. If you take that as a link, then what is the broader question? What are the provisions related to electoral funding in India? Means on how is electoral funds happening? Does RP Act talk about it? Does Companies Act talk about it? Does FCRA, Foreign Contribution Regulation Act talk about it? What electoral reforms will you suggest or what reforms will you suggest in the electoral funding so that you maintain transparency in it? That's a very broad theme which is pending still. And then few issues were there, not very broad. Remember last year Election Commission told that we'll create a, a solution so that the migrants can vote, remote voting. That's not a very broader theme, but we'll discuss that, all of that under your current affairs angle. Then this is not a theme, but 1 year. Indian party system is passing through a transition which looks through paradoxes. Don't worry, not a theme. Theme is what for us early election? Electoral reforms, Election Commission of India. Electoral funding is not a theme, and the which one? Reforms within Election Commission of India also. One is function of Election Commission, second is what? Reforms within election commission. See, that question they have still not touched. Reforms within means what? They don't have selection committee. Okay, now that is done. But that also is a kind of controversial aspect. And what they don't have, their expenses are not part of charge expenditure. They don't have the power to deregister political parties. There is no one specific detailed act to talk about their powers. They talk about ECI Act is there, but powers, everything is not detailedly mentioned. Scope of 324 is not clearly mentioned. And election commissioner, chief election commissioner has security of tenure, but who doesn't? Other two election commissioners don't have security of tenure. So earlier they used to have not a secretariat also, but now they have it. Now all these are few reforms within Election Commission of India. That is a very favorite topic which is still pending. So yeah. Then RP Act. You look at it, you will only tell what is a theme. For a long time they did not touch. In the recent years they are asking. So what is the theme? What are the modes of disqualification under RP Act? Then remedies available. Again look at it. And then specifically they asked section 123, corrupt practices. Yeah, 3 questions you have. That means what is the theme here? What is the theme of under RP Act? What are the methods of disqualification under RP Act? Recall this even in your Parliament chapter also we discussed. Minimum 2 years you are convicted in any case. You have not submitted your election expenses. Involved in any electoral corrupt practices. That is section 123. Indira Gandhi versus Rajanarayan kind of cases. Or you have not, you are interested in government contracts or services. Or dismissed from government service based on corruption, or convicted of any social crimes like sati, dowry, untouchability. Then the concept of election petition. Within how many days can you file? Within 45 days you can file. Within 6 months, those aspects they are asking. Very favorite one. Another ways, there are 2-3 areas which they can ask still, which is broader aspect if you make it as disqualification. What is the effectiveness, or do you think RP Act has been effective in tackling the problem of criminalization of politics in India? You remember recently also ADR released a report saying criminalization of politics is the highest ever. It has reached how much? 44% now. Earlier it was 36, then 42, now it is 44. Means it's kept on increasing. Then what is the impact of RP Act on that then? Or another theme which is pending is what? Comparison between RP Act 1950 and 1951. What is the provisions of that? What is the provisions of this? Some areas are there which are pending. So that we'll discuss again. Yeah, other than that, you don't have any scope in RP Act 1951. And every year you don't have a question because look at it. 22. 2019. So last year I think you did not have a question on this. Yeah, you don't have a question on that. Sir, how these subjects? Obviously we will cover. So because we have done it from the last 3-4 years. So within 10 days, maximum 12 days, entire GS, entire means one GS paper will cover. Of course, related current affairs topics also we have to do. That's how the procedure is. Fine. You'll get to know that. You can attend 1 or 2 classes if you want. Then you decide. This is subtopic 2. Broader theme I have made it as. This is related to which one? Another favorite topic. Federalism. You look at the questions, you will only tell me the themes. Fine. Yeah, so look at the questions. Very broad question 2024. What changes has the government of India recently introduced in center-state relations? Suggest measures to be adopted to build the trust between. In other words, what they are telling, what measures they have already taken, what else do you want to improve cooperative federalism? Of course, you can write about what all. Niti Aayog, you can write what do you call as this 41% vertical devolution, you can write, or which one? Look as GS-2, you can write rationalization of centrally sponsored schemes, you can write. So many are there. Panchayat devolutions, you can write. All those ones are measures which are already been taken. This is first part. Then second part is what? Suggest measures to be adopted to build the trust. What else can be suggested? Fine. Obviously, what? The devolution, vertical devolution can be increased. Horizontal devolution formula, we can bring some changes so that the south and western states which have performed well can be accommodated. Panchayat devolutions we can improve. Fine. Even in GST council compensation issues you can address. Like that, so many are there. Or let's say misuse of the role of governor, that can be addressed better. All of that you can come up with the measures. If this is more broader, then that will come to that. This will look at under bodies. Yeah, look at this. Factors responsible. Specifically what they have told. One is legal, political. For the reduced frequency of using 356 means, obviously we know that article 356 has not been, almost you can say now it has gone out of use. Understood? But if you, okay, well, we'll come to that statement later. Now what they are telling, tell what are the legal and political factors that has led to its reduced misuse. Obviously political factors are what? Political factors. Now regional parties are more powerful. So, and obviously coalition governments will come. It's not so easy to just remove them. Judiciary is more proactive. SR Bommai case, legal aspects. And obviously limitations are too much now. That aspects you need to mention one after the other. You have to separate it as legal factors and 3-4, then political factors 3-4, and then way forward. Sarkariya Commission, Punchi Commission, all of that you need to keep mentioning about that. Again, look at this. Indian Constitution exhibits, because of the COVID year, they asked this question. Centralizing tendencies to maintain unity and integrity, elucidate in the perspective of Epidemic Diseases Act, Disaster Management Act, and recently passed Farm Acts. You recall first COVID, all the things were in use. Epidemic Diseases Act to tackle COVID, Disaster Management Act, of course, to tackle the same aspect. Farm bills they passed, recall, which led to the farmers protest everything. Centralizing tendency. The core theme is centralizing. You look at this again. Fine. Finance Commission will come to that later. So that means the core favorite topic under federalism is what? Center state, within center state relation, types of federalism. Within that more specifically, what? Strong center is a very favorite theme. Strong center, cooperative federalism. These two are very favorite themes in federalism. One is quasi-federalism, second one is cooperative federalism. Remember, even in your basics also we discussed that some types of federalism which are still UPSC are still not touched. Fiscal federalism, they have not touched. In a different way they have touched it. And which one? Bargaining federalism, they have not still touched. And most important, asymmetric federalism, you recall that? So asymmetric federalism, example, 370, 371, so for 5th schedule, 6th schedule, so many are there, that also they have still not touched. But this is a favorite theme. Fiscal federalism, they have touched it in a different way, like this. Recommendations of, which one? Finance Commission enable the states to improve their fiscal position. This is fiscal federalism only, but specifically about whom? Finance Commission. See, 14th Finance Commission question. Then look at before that. How is the Finance Commission constituted? What do you know about the recently constituted? This one actually was 15th Finance Commission. Now last year what you had? 16th Finance Commission has been constituted, headed by Arvind Panagaria. They have still not given the report, agreed, but again every year you will have that as a theme. Another one, which broadly they linked, which obviously was in news a lot. GST, 101st Amendment, to what extent does it reflect accommodative spirit of federalism? So, two major theme or three major theme. One is strong center, second is cooperative federalism, third is finance commission. These three are the favorite themes under your federalism subtopic. Clear? Rest all, they keep asking broader question, but doesn't matter much. Like see, this year, 1 year they asked about what? Yeah, if you want other one, Delhi, LG of Delhi versus CM of Delhi, very favorite theme. 69th constitutional amendment. Because I think twice they have asked the same question. 370 you leave out. But this is not a theme. This one again, as I told, which one? Cooperative federalism. Again, look at this here. Constitution leans in favor of strong center. This was that year, this is not a theme, don't worry. 1 year they asked this because that year Kaveri issue was there. So the question was on. Not a favorite theme, doesn't repeat every year unless you have some controversy or something related to those interstate water disputes. This year you don't have. From some 2-3 years back, interstate water disputes amendment bill they introduced. It's been introduced a long time back, but they re-amended and introduced. Hence, it was we are expecting in 22-23. This year it is nowhere in use. But okay, we'll broadly discuss it. No need to. We don't have to skip it. That's your federalism topic. Then local body question. Again, very, very favorite themes are there. You look at it and tell me what are the themes. Role of local bodies, then what? Good governance. Fine. And bring out the one subtopic they added, one sub-theme. Pros and cons of merging rural local bodies with urban local bodies. Do you think you want to merge panchayats with municipalities? If yes, why? If not, why? Of course, it's not so easy to merge because rural areas and urban areas needs itself will be different. The population demography will be different. The facilities you need to provide will be different. Fine? But yeah, what they are trying to say is that if you merge, the reason why they are trying to say is merge was the ideas of, remember, Pura, provision of urban amenities in rural areas, that kind of things will improve. And of course, because in India cities expand horizontally, urban areas, rural areas will keep merging over a period of time. So considering that they are coming up with that kind of question, but the better stand is what? There is no need to merge. What should be done? We need to empower both. Merging is not the solution. Whatever, the answer wise we'll discuss later, but that is merging aspect is a new aspect they asked, this one. But analysis of the functioning of panchayats, just imagine how many times they keep asking. To what extent, in your opinion, has decentralization changed the governance landscape? Look at this first theme here again, first part. Local bodies, good governance. Local bodies, governance. Clear? Then again look at it. Broader way they make, but the strength and sustenance of local institution has shifted from functions, functionaries and funds to the contemporary stage of what? They added a new term, functionality. Remember in Panchayat they keep telling very famous problem of what? The problem of 3 F's, funds, functions, functionaries. They added a new term called as what here? Functionality. Not something what very analytical. Functionality means what? Function plus ability. Earlier the problem was what? The problem was that the panchayats used to argue that the states are not even giving the functions to us. Remember 29 functions in 11th schedule, 18 functions in 12th schedule. Devolution is not happening. But now the problem what they have identified is what? Even if they devolve it, what the panchayats don't have? They don't have the ability to implement it. Because the ability again depends on what? Ability again depends on what? Let's say they gave the function to you, that okay, you take care of the primary education, primary healthcare, all those things. You don't have the funds, what will you do? You don't have good officers working for you, what will you do then? Or you don't have the capacity building of the elected representatives, what will you do then? Understood? That is, functionality is a new problem. But ultimately again, the question is about what? critically analyze the functioning of local bodies. Either 1 year they'll ask about what? Local body and governance. 1 year they'll ask functionality. 1 year they'll ask women angle, that I'll show you that. Women and reservation. Women reservation, local body. That's also a very favorite theme. Look at it. Reservation of the seats for women has had only what? Limited impact on the patriarchal character of Indian political process. Means overall the question is, what is the significance or limitations of women reservation in local bodies? That's the theme. First theme is what? Local body and governance or effectiveness of local bodies. Second theme is what? Women reservation in local bodies. Again look at the same question. In that year they had asked repeated once. Okay. Assess the importance of panchayats as part of local government. Apart from this year they asked about fund. Apart from government grants, what sources can panchayats look out for? This is about funds, finances of panchayats. So 3-4 themes only you have. They have to ask only around that. Either they ask about effectiveness, either they should ask about women angle, either they should ask about finance angle, or 1 year they asked about, see, under local bodies, their favorite area is what? Panchayats. That means which is neglected. Urban local body is neglected. Only one question, we'll see that. Again, next one, local governance has not, I don't have to repeat, you tell me the look of the question. Local bodies govern, especially panchayats. Again, read the question. In the absence of a well-educated, organized local level governance system, panchayats and samitis have remained mainly political institution. Repeat. If you know that broader angle of panchayats, you just have to go repeat the points there. Automatically you will save at least 1 minute because you know the definition, what should be there. I mean, introduction, significance, you know, examples, you know, articles, you know, negatives, you know, way forward, you know. Just go repeat, you can repeat there. Yeah, only here they touched about urban local bodies. States seem to be reluctant to empower urban local bodies, both functionally and financially. But larger points will remain same only because both face what? More or less similar problems. Few specific ones related to urban local bodies you have to tell. Not a very favorite theme, only one question, but anytime they can ask. Just as a current affairs angle, remember in Karnataka, Greater Bangalore Authority Bill, that angle, just telling, it's because from a UPSC perspective, it doesn't matter much, but you never know. And another aspect, last year CAG released a report in which they told that urban local bodies, that municipalities have very high percentage of corruptions. They have released a report, we'll discuss it as a current affairs topic. That you can become a theme. Clear? Okay, fine. So that is your panchayats and federalism. Now let's look at another group. So this is what is the PYQ analysis. If you have very high, you can easily bring it down. Okay, where should I focus? Where should I not focus? This is what? Executive. Means I have taken it as president, governor. (2024) question. Growth of cabinet has practically resulted in marginalization of parliamentary supremacy. Means, do you think because cabinet is becoming powerful, parliament's role is being declined? Of course, in a way, yes only. Because obviously what will happen? Cabinet will taking all the decisions, collective responsibility is violated, where is the checks and balances, you start using more and more ordinances. So all those will get affected. Dominance of ruling party in the Lok Sabha. So obviously bypassing of Rajya Sabha. So many aspects are there. Of course, it has an advantage also. If cabinet is strong, the advantage is what? Quick decision making. Fine, yeah, stability also will be there. Quick decision making is another one. Accountability is there. At least if something fails, you can tell who is accountable for all of that. Now this theme, in a way, cabinet aspect, again look at the same question. Look at this. See, 2014 that was asked. Exactly 10 years later, cabinet question. Not that every year they'll repeat, but if you look at the theme, it is there. Size of the cabinet should be as big as government work justifies and as big as PM can manage. How far the efficiency of government is inversely related to size of cabinet. Means the question here what they are asking, do you think if you have a small cabinet it is more effective, or do you think big cabinet is more effective? What does it depend on? This year they asked, last year they asked about what? Do you think the more and more cabinet becomes powerful, what gets affected? Role of parliament gets affected. The question is on what? The theme then under executive. Cabinet is the theme, or council of ministers is the theme. Either they can ask about size, or they can ask about next year or this year they may ask about cabinet committee's role. You never know. But about overall cabinet aspect. Clear? Yeah. Another theme is what? Not exactly theme, one question, which is what? President's pardoning power, Article 72. Delay in commuting death sentences has come under public debate about that. If you take a broader theme out of that, the question is what? About the death penalty itself, if they can ask. Because that question is pending for a long time. Directly about death penalty, you don't have a question till now. But so many cases are there. We all know that. This year, if you have seen, it's a prelims question also. Can you recall that? In prelims that asked, pardoning power. Is it subjected to limited judicial review? All those things they have asked. Maru Ram case is there. And then Ipuru Sudhakar case is there. And the very famous, remember, rarest of rare. Which one? Bachchan Singh case, Machi Singh case, Shatrughan Chauhan case, like that. So many are there. Those are all. If you take a broader theme of pardoning power. Another question. Very direct. I don't even have to tell. Look at the question. Simple basics. As I keep telling, one of the basic questions. Conditions for exercise of legislative power by governor. Legality of repromulgation of. Actually, ordinance is a theme. Very favorite theme of UPSC. One or other way they keep asking. Whenever you get ordinance question, as I keep telling, 3 cases you have to mandatorily mention. Which one? R.C. Cooper case, the ordinance subjected to judicial review. D.C. Wadhwa case, repromulgation of ordinance is unconstitutional. Krishna Kumar case, ordinance is not an extraordinary power. Ordinance is a power which should be used in extraordinary circumstance. Every ordinance should go through legislative scrutiny. Without mentioning those 3 cases, you can never write an ordinance related question in UPSC. Impossible. Any arguments you give, they don't find these 3 judgments, half a mark or 1 mark, 100% will be reduced. Fine. How can you write basic structure answer without referring to at least Keshananda Bharati case? Can you refer? It's impossible. How can you write a question on right to privacy without referring to case Puttaswamy? Sir, I have better arguments. Agreed. But without referring to case Puttaswamy judgment, how are you going to write a right to privacy question in GS-2 means that too? Maybe somewhere in ethics, if you don't mention Puttaswamy also fine, because that's not expected there. GS-2 you have to. Language, wordings matter a lot. Especially that's one of the biggest challenge, because most of us don't come from legal backgrounds, right? That word should get repeated. For lawyers, the challenge is what? They'll make it look like typical Supreme Court judgment. That's a problem. Because the more and more very legal if you make, remember Supreme Court advocates will not come and correct your answer. So you should reuse those keywords, but make it very balanced. Like your NCERT language, how you have NCERT polity related chapters. It's like that. Yeah, fine. So executive related this is. Then executive, not very, very favorite. Very few question. This one, I don't even have to tell how favorite topic is judiciary. Everybody knows. Within judiciary, you will only identify the themes, favorite themes. Public interest litigation, or if you make it more broader aspect of public interest litigation is what? Judicial activism. Very, very broader theme. Very easy. Every year they keep repeating. You just look at the PYQs, you will understand how many times I've asked. This you look at later. Look at this. Judicial legislation is antithetical to separation of powers. Fine. Judicial activism, PIL. This is okay. We'll leave it that. This is a very basic question. Now, this one, as I told, Delhi issue. Look at this. Ordinance is a theme. Fine. Okay, they have linked it to some other aspect, but question is again on judicial activism. Now that is first favorite theme, judicial activism, PIL. Kind of second theme. It depends on the judgments. Look at it. What was this IR Colo case? Again broadly related to judicial review, judicial activism, all those things. Again the judgment in fourth judge's case, 99th Constitutional Amendment and NJSC Act both declared unconstitutional. That question. So this, as I told, 69th Amendment continuously in news. Now, recently what they are trying to do, they are trying to make it a little different. They are not directly asking on activism. See, 1 year, 2023, basic question. Remember in your Lakshmikant also you have independence of judiciary. Constitutionally guaranteed judicial independence is prerequisite of democracy. Whatever 10 points recall, appointment, what do you call this, appointment of judges, security of tenure, fixed service condition, charge expenditure, contempt of court power, recall all of them, basics, appointment, freedom to appoint its own staff, that basics only. But you need to link it to how is it a prerequisite of democracy, means why judicial is important, independence is one of the foundation pillars of democracy. Sure, that is independence of judiciary itself is basic structure. Now see, this in the recent 1 or 2 years, they are trying to touch about this aspect. Which one? Means not directly on Supreme Court. They are trying to touch which one? Arbitration, conciliation, NALSA, these aspects. Because look at this question, last year's question. Look at this. Explain and distinguish between. So in the recent years, 1 or 2 years, the issue that they are trying to touch is what? Alternative dispute resolution. You can also include which one? From Supreme Court, they are shifting to ADR plus tribunals. So that's another theme you can identify based on the last 2 to 3 years. So ADR itself is a topic, still pending. Tribunal itself is a topic. 1 year they have asked. We'll discuss it under your quasi-judicial body. But both combinedly is a very favorite theme under judiciary now. Right? Then, remember this year again you had Justice Yashwant Verma issue. Cash found. What about judicial inquiries? Impeachment of, not impeachment, you have to use the term removal of judges. That's a broader theme. If you leave out that, Supreme Court, so many judgments are there. Article 142, as I told, is there. So continuously that is always there. I don't have to discuss. Judicial reform is there. Use of artificial intelligence in judiciary is there. Fine. And now not very important, the concept of regional national courts of appeal. So should we establish benches of Supreme Court across country? That is also pending. Fine. Judicial pendency. See, judicial pendency itself they have not still asked. Pendency of cases, 4.7 crore cases you have in Indian judiciary. What are the reasons? What is the effect? What is the way forward? Or broader theme of judicial reforms, bail reforms. Those are so many cases are, so many issues are pending actually in judiciary, but somehow they are still not touched. They are only asking about judicial activism, 1 year on judicial appointment, another year on judicial, as I just now told, independence. Now, because this year, if you recall 21-22, lot of women judges were appointed. Based on that, there's this desirability of greater representation of women in judiciary. Not a theme. That year it was in news, they asked it. Clear? Yeah, I think you got to know what are the major theme areas in your judiciary aspect. Then, okay, this is executive and judiciary. Now, the final one, which is which one? bodies and acts. Because remember, 4 types of bodies you have, or at least 3: constitutional, statutory, executive, regulatory, quasi-judicial. But not everything they keep asking. You look at it, you will only tell me what are the major institutions that has been focused. Obviously, I don't have to tell how many times CAG gets repeated. Look at it. This is one last year. Duty of CAG is not merely legality of expenditure, but also its propriety. 1 year CAG question. Next year, 2018, CAG has a very vital role to play. Explain how this is reflected in whatever appointment is that. Again about CAG. Next. Exercise of CAG powers in relation to the accounts is derived from 149. Discuss whether or whatever. So CAG is the most favorite theme. Election Commission of India also, but we have put Election Commission of India under election. Finance Commission also, but Finance Commission we have put under again Federalism. But still Finance Commission, few other questions are there. Okay, that is one. This is another one. Look at it. Another favorite theme. I'll show you that. Fine. Very favorite theme. Another favorite theme. Let them ask any question on either NHRC or NCW or NCM, National Commission on Minority, any national commission, NCSC, NCST, NCBC, there is a pattern to write. Anytime you can write that. Have you observed the functions of NCSC? What will they tell? Inquire into the constitutional legal safeguards provided for SC. Then they will study about the practical implementation of the safeguards. Then suggest measures to the government to improve the safeguards or welfare of SC. Then any violation of the rights of SC they will inquire. Then they will have the powers of a civil court. They can give any orders, any compensation. However, their orders are not binding. And they will cooperate with multiple other agencies to protect the rights of SC. Fine. Then what they'll do? They'll release annual reports. They'll publish the reports to President. President will put it in Parliament. Then they will conduct these awareness campaigns. They'll release the magazines, this, that related to SC. This is SC. Let's say the question is on ST. What do you do? Replace SC by ST. Sir, what if question is on NC, women, National Commission on Women? Replace SC by women. Minority. Replace minority by women. That's it. Loopholes. Whatever it is. If it is a constitutional body like National Commission on Women or National NHRC, what do you tell? It should be given a constitutional status because it is statutory body now. 2 is what? Most of the reports are not binding. What is the solution? It should be made binding. Most of them don't have a selection panel. Give a selection panel. Most of them don't have autonomy. Financial autonomy, functional autonomy, operational autonomy, human resource autonomy. What do you do? Give them that autonomy. So this is a very favorite theme, and most of them have overlapping of jurisdiction. Overlapping means what? Same function. Let's say some human rights violation of of a woman belonging to ST category is there. Now who will look into it? Should NHRC look into it, or should NCST look into it, or should NCW look into it? Because she is a woman belonging to scheduled tribe, and let's say something related to rape or sexual harassment is there. Human right. Who should look into the matter? This is what you have the problem now. Overlapping of jurisdiction because of multiple human rights related agencies. So for that, they have also asked a question on that. Do you think merger of human rights, merger of the bodies under NHRC is the solution? Now whatever, the National Commission is continuously, they keep asking. Another one, we'll discuss that. I'll show you that. Okay, wait. This is NHRC. NCW. CAG we told. So NHRC, favorite theme. Then, see another year. So National Commission on Women, National Commission on Backward Class, National Human Rights Commissions. National Commission is that continuously they keep asking. CAG, I've told you already. Another, this is not a theme, but 1 year they have asked which question? Because continuously in news. This year you might expect, though not, the chances are less, Enforcement Directorate, ED regularly will have it in controversies. NIA issue is there, but we have to see that. That's not a favorite theme also. This one. Last year it was in very highly in news, everybody knows. Competition Commission of India versus Google, Competition Commission of India versus I think Reliance versus Amazon issue was going on, and then Competition Commission of India had penalized some other company also for violation. Competition Commission of India's role. Recall, this is under broader theme called as what this is? Regulatory bodies. Fine, then quasi-judicial body means what again? Tribunal. Tribunal in the recent years is a very favorite theme. You can put it under judiciary or you can put it under what? Bodies. It's a very favorite theme, tribunals. Rest obviously, I don't have to tell how important is what. Did you observe that? 13th Finance Commission they have asked. 14th Finance Commission they have asked. 15th Finance Commission terms of reference they have asked. Now the only left out is what now? 16th Finance. Every Finance Commission there is a question. In the last 10 years, 4 Finance Commissions. This is not in news. I mean, not in the news. It doesn't matter much because that year there was some controversy with respect to Rail Tariff Authority they asked. But there is another one theme. This is with respect to regulatory bodies. If you look at the question and you tell me the theme. Product diversification of financial institutions and insurance companies has led to, I've already told you that keyword. This was the overlap between. So overlapping of jurisdiction is always a problem. Remember, merger of telecom companies. Like for example, few years back you had which one? I think which one got merged? Vodafone got merged. No, not Vodafone. Idea got merged with Vodafone. Now the issue was what? I had tried. Telecom Regulatory Authority of India told it is related to telecom. We'll look into it. Competition Commission of India told it's related to monopoly. We will look into it. Bank merger. Recall, Government of India merged a lot of banks. Bank merger, because it's related to banks, who will tell it's my issue? RBI said it's my issue. But it's related to what? Monopoly. Then who said it is my issue? Competition Commission of India said, I will look into it. So that problem of overlapping of jurisdiction between the regulatory bodies, always a problem. Clear? That year, very long back, almost 10-12 years back, SEBI versus IRDA. CCA versus TRI, CCA versus RBI, CCA versus SEBI. There's so many controversies. SEBI is in news, recall, because remember, SEBI and PSC, last year there was a use. Public Accounts Committee had summoned SEBI chief to come and answer. And she did not go and attend the meeting. So that was a huge controversy. So two theme. SEBI also is a theme. Public Accounts Committee. Any which way they can ask. Whatever, that is one. Then this year, it was in news. They asked it. Public Examination Act 2024. Bills and news. Very favorite bill which every year I am expecting is what? Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023. For some reason UP has still not touched it. You still can easily expect it. They have asked that question in your GS-3 if you have seen. But in GS-2 as an act they have still not asked. Recall, the data fiduciary, data localization, data sovereignty, data mirroring, so many are there. Where they have data protection authority. But some more they have not asked the question on that. Women reservation is there, but that you can put it under parliament also, that you can put it under act also. Another kind of controversial, the Waqf bill. So as expecting a question on that, not so easy because kind of controversy, but you never know, they can ask also. Because controversial question, and earlier they never used to ask, but now they do ask openly. Fine? Yeah, I'll just sum up quickly the governance aspects, because so that you get a broader idea. This is what? Pressure group, very favorite concept, very favorite theme for UPSC in governance. Look how many times they repeat pressure groups. 1 year the question is on whom? Farmer organization and how they influence policy makers. Look at the same theme. Look at the theme. How business organizations or association contribute to public policy. Farmers association, public policy. Business association, public policy. Or the core theme or broader theme is what? Influence of pressure groups on policy making. Then another one, this is more broader, we'll discuss that. You look at this. How do pressure groups influence Indian political process? Specifically, they have asked impact of this informal pressure groups. How informal? Informal means what? Informal means, like, for example, what do you call this? Nirbhaya protest, Disha protest, Me Too movement. So our farmers protest. Farmers is a kind of organized also, which happen online. Or what do you call this? In Bangalore, what you call it as no steel flyover protest. Everything happens online. Or even they come into the streets, but there is no organization which is leading. There is no leader for the movement. It's very short term. They'll come, they'll protest, they'll get the impact, they'll go away. So, do you agree with the view that informal pressure groups have become more powerful than formal? Formal is what? Your formal typically is farmers organization, business, FICCI, what do you call this? They're all formal, registered. They have a structure to the organization. They have a leader. They have election process. They have membership fee. Every year they'll have a meeting. Every quarter they have a meeting. They know if government has to discuss with FICCI, they know whom to discuss with. But here, no idea at all. This falls in a broader aspect called as new civil society organization, new CSO, new form of CSOs. These are all. Yeah, that question. Pressure groups is sometimes seen as the informal phase of politics. Assess the structure, functioning of pressure groups. This year they asked about structure. Then 1 year, this is not specifically a theme, but broader question. Contribution of civil society for women's effective participation and representation in state legislature. It is not, they should not have put it in a pressure group. This is under which one? Of course, pressure group is part of civil society, but civil society we have made separate. Pressure group is major theme. Now the next favorite theme of UPSC is what under this one? SHG. Even on SHG, what do they ask? You look at the questions and you tell. Keywords, look at it. Keywords under SHG. Same keywords, you just look at how many times it gets repeated. Microfinance institutions, remember in Karnataka also microfinance institution controversy was there. SHG, microfinance, poverty, rural employment, livelihood, poverty, malnutrition, gender equality. Same old keywords you will have. So what you have to understand, what is the definition of SHG, features of SHG, role of SHG, how do they contribute to all these keywords, criticisms of SHG, way forward of SHG. Other than that, they can't ask anything else. Look at next. Emergence of SHG led to study withdrawal of whatever. Examine the role of measures taken by Government of India to promote SHG. Means in what all scheme? Remember, right from NABARD's very famous SHG bank linkage program, under NRLM scheme they promoted, under integrated watershed management program they supported. In some states to manage these FPS, fair price shops, PDS, for that also they encourage these SHGs. State level we all know, Kudumbashri initiative, or in Maharashtra they call it as what? I mean, those are private ones. I mean, private means they have done it on the Lijjat Papad one. In Maharashtra there is a program called as Mavem. In Karnataka, Dharmasthala, Shri Krishna Dharmasthala issue. All of that initiatives. But specifically first you should talk about Government of India. Then one or two you can mention about states. Then microfinance as an same keywords. Either they have to ask about what? Gender equality, anti-poverty, women empowerment, livelihood, income security, malnutrition, same thing. Microfinance and SHG. Look at it again. SHG, bank linkage program, NABARDS, proved to be one of the most effective. Poverty alleviation, women empowerment. Penetration of SHG in promoting, but specifically this time they asked about the challenges they are facing with respect to what? Socio-cultural, because they function in village areas. So obviously what issues will they have? Yeah, they'll have the issues of patriarchy because it's not so easy to address them. Caste issues will be there, class issues will be there. Those concepts, socio-cultural hurdles. Fine, but SHG is a very favorite theme. So, critically evaluate the functioning of SHG, scrutiny and assessment of the role of SHG. You can't escape, it's the same old theme, don't worry. That is SHG. Then about NGO, if they ask, every year they are not asking, but 1 year. Can civil society and NGO present an alternative model of service delivery? It was highly in news because remember, look at the year. Means what you had? Second COVID, and if you can recall, a lot of NGOs came forward. They only started to provide what? Vaccine kits, food kits. So for the migrants who are literally walking, for them they gave the shelter. Fine, those are what you call as. How do you think you can use NGO as an alternative model of public service delivery? Means to give education, health, nutrition, or sanitation, or drinking water, jobs. Do you think they can only provide? Yeah, they can provide. We are not saying no. But always, what is the stand that you have to take? Remember, you cannot replace the state because these are NGOs. Means first point, what they don't have? They don't have an obligation to provide services to the people. State has an obligation because state is what? Elected by the people, or government is elected by the people. State is a permanent institution. These are all what? Some NGO might be there today, next year they may not get fund. So where is that? That itself is a problem. What is it? Continuity of the funds. State can reach out to nook and corners of the country because they have a structure. They have the officers. What is the guarantee that where will civil society reach out? So state is a legitimate institution. NGOs might misuse their money. Remember the allegations against NGOs that they are funded by some anti-national agencies, that they are supporting Naxal activities, this, that, whatever, so many controversies. Where is the accountability for them? So what is the stand that you have to take? State should be the major actor. What the state can do? They can take the help of civil society and NGO. But what you cannot do? You cannot give the role of service delivery to the NGOs. That you can't do. Take their help. That's fine. Clear? That stand you need to take and clearly mention. That's why look at it. Yeah. Whatever, in general, broader question, NGOs have not played a crucial role in India. Why? That's a favorite question, civil societies. This is I think twice they have asked this question on, which one? Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. You can put it under Act also, but here you can put. Role of NGOs with respect to, which one? Environment. Next, I think twice also they have asked the same question. NGOs and their role in protecting environment. So, under a civil society, which are the two favorite themes for UPSC? One is SHG, another one is pressure group. That means regularly they have not asked questions on which one then? NGO, they are not asking question. In the recent 2-3 years, you have another theme. This is the one. Because you have the keywords mentioned as what? And UPSC had not touched this topic for almost 10 years. Now, look at this. Public charitable trusts have the potential to make India's development more inclusive. Comment. The question is on what? Trust. Trust is what? You have Tata Trust, you have Reliance Trust, you have Azim Premji Foundation, you have Infosys Foundation, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Zuckerberg Foundations. or whatever, so many companies. What is their role in India's development? Fine. Do you think you can make use of them largely? That is all. Of course, there are so many examples. Just now I told you example. That only you need to mention. Trust. Now next year, another year question. Whom? Because look at the syllabus keyword. You have a keyword called as donor. You have keyword called as charity. Look at it. Charitable trust. Look at it. Donor agencies means what? World Bank, Asian Development Bank. Do you think we can depend on them? So what is the advantage? What is the challenge? Charitable trust. What is the role? What is the challenge? Same thing. Because they had not touched those two keywords, they have asked it. 2022 one, last year 24 one. Sir, what if I had not prepared for this topic? Still you can easily answer if you are able to get those examples of, okay, you're talking about trust. Some 3-4 trust example if you get, automatically you can generate the example. Example also you can generate, advantages also you can generate, challenges also. Whatever challenges I told you to with respect to NGOs, can you depend on NGOs for alternate public service delivery? Same points you can generate here. Same points is what? Where are they getting their funds from? Where is the accountability? Can they reach out to all the sections of society? First of all, do they have the what? Obligation. Is it a legitimate institution? What if they misuse their money? Do they have this, what do you call it, this human resource to go and contribute everywhere? We don't know. Always trust whom? Government is the actor. They are all helping the government, not replacing the government. Clear? Yeah, that is one. Though not very favorite topic, the recent years they have not. This is governance. So what all have you mentioned under governance? E-governance, citizens charter, transparency and accountability is there, but not every year they don't ask question. Pressure group, SHG, NGO not every year, donor not every year, charitable trust not every year. Civil services, under that, civil service reform, that's the major one. What are the pending under civil service? Lateral entry is pending. Mission Karma Yogi specifically is pending. Yeah, then social justice, you have 4 broad themes, which are major. Vulnerable section, welfare schemes for vulnerable sections, poverty and hunger, social sector policy, sectoral policy. I'll discuss at least one, look at it. Social policies. And then I'll show you the major current affairs issues which are pending. Yeah, under social sector policies, you can easily divide them into 3. Whatever they have mentioned in syllabus only. Look at it. Education, human resource. They have not diverted from this at all. Health, education, human resource. Look at the questions. Health. Education. Obviously, I don't even have to tell. This is what? Human resource, skill. This is the new way of asking question. What they did here. They know that you will prepare for education, health, skill. Know what they do? Combine. Analyze the linkages between education, skill and employment. This is new pattern of questions. Broader means education, health, everything will come. So every year it is the same pattern, and this again repeat. Repeat means combination. You might have heard that. Water, because World Bank, WHO came up with that keyword. Water, sanitation, hygiene related to that. This is vulnerable section actually, they have put it here. Then human resource. human resource aspect. Primary education, primary health care. Only 1 year they have asked this question, which one? Within education, because remember you have primary education, secondary education, higher education. But importantly they focus on which one? Primary education, primary health care. These two are favorite. You leave out this skill development. These are the three specific areas: primary education, primary health care, and then skill development. Or they may, and another broader is what? Demographic dividend. These are the 3-4 areas. You leave out this, what are the other 3 areas which are left out? Higher education reforms. That's one. Recently, which is in news, last year also UGC supported it. Which one? Do you think foreign universities should be allowed to open their institutions in India? Because National Education Policy also recommends that yes, they should be allowed to open the institution. That is pending. They have still not asked that, foreign universities. This year, 1 year that asked, but this was long back. It's already been 10 years because post NEP they have not touched it. Higher education reforms they have not touched. Importance of secondary education they have still not touched. Recently also recall, in Kerala also it was in controversy. For which scheme? PM Shri School, Pradhan Mantri Shri Schools, where model schools they want to develop. That was in controversy. I think in West Bengal or Tamil Nadu the controversy was with respect to Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. They have not released funds for both the states. That's the news. NEP, I don't have to tell how much Karnataka says will not implement it. Tamil Nadu has said will not implement it. So all those aspects. Again, health. Within health, primary health care. But 1 year what they'll ask? What is the role of private sector in healthcare? Then they'll ask what is the role of technology in healthcare? Then they'll ask what is the role of community in healthcare? So like that they keep on asking. One keyword they keep adding to it. This is not a repeated theme, higher education, but that year there was an IIT IM bill. This one again, midday meals. Midday meals, no need to worry. MDG, health, okay, that's not a theme. So, core themes, I think I have told you that. Primary education, primary healthcare, skill development. Additional themes are what? Yeah, higher education. Within that, foreign education, IIT IM. Which is pending, higher education reform is pending. Another pending issues are what? For example, National Health Policy 2017. Specifically, they have not still asked. Role of artificial intelligence in healthcare and education. Because everywhere you can add that AI theme. That's they have not still touched. So like that, few issues will always be there. Some not neglected, you can say. Okay, first what I'll do, I'll show you the recent current affairs so that you will have a better idea what all is pending. Where is the current affairs? $2025 means I'll just broadly sum up. So then subtopic wise, under Indian Constitution, the first one, the key subtopics which are pending, current affairs, constitutional morality, because the arrest of a serving Delhi, Arvind Kejriwal arrest, all those things. Then UCC, obviously we know economically weaker sections. And then third constitutional amendment 2019, Janhit Abhiyan case. It's been 2-3 years by the time case came, but because remember UPSC has that tendency. Not only this year current affairs, what they'll do, 2-3 years back also they keep going. Hate speech continuously in news. 142, I told you multiple times. Ladakh demanding 6 schedules. 6th schedule specifically, they have not asked a question. 5th schedule was a 6th schedule always. Arunachal Pradesh is also demanding it. 9th schedule. Remember, Bihar government kept on requesting that what? Because they want to give 75%, 80% reservation. So that's why they want to add their law to 9th schedule. They have already asked one question, IR Colo case. But if in case they ask on 9th schedule, again broadly. Emergency, because government is trying to, but they can't ask a question on emergency because it's a controversial one. But these are the specific. If you leave out this, 2-3 other Supreme Court judgments are there. Remember last year one Supreme Court judgment they gave under Article 21. right to be protected against the negative impact of climate change. Ranjit Singh case, that is protection against climate change effect, that is there. Right to personality, Anil Kapoor case, Delhi High Court. Those two are pending, though not very landmark judgments, maybe largely. And then federalism, that's this, I don't have to specify how many times we have discussed. You would have gone through current affairs, Supreme Court, Tamil Nadu governor. And then for panchayats, we have two major issues. One, there is something called as Panchayat Development Index in news. Then there is something called as Panchayat Devolution Index. Both are in news. One of the two, you can easily expect a question. Panchayat Devolution. And then second one, as we mentioned here, where is it? Panchayat Development Index. A localization of SDG, that itself can become a question. We'll discuss all of them. 370 you can't expect. As I told, urban local bodies. CAG highlighted deficiency in which one? Performance and governance of urban local bodies. Waqf, we know that. And there's a bill to make it was what? 100 days minimum, because as of now, the average number of working days of parliament has come down to 70. That's why they want to increase it to what? At least 100. Yeah, like that. 3 language issue. Remember I told you that Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. So Tamil Nadu has not got those funds. Like that, few issues are there. So these broadly, if you have them, federalism, citizenship, I don't think they can ask. Cooperative federalism, yes. Special category status in news. SR Bommai, 1994, last year 30 years. Assured. Maybe 2023 itself UPSC asked. Maybe 1 year ahead itself they might have asked. Because remember that we saw a question. What are the legal and political factors that has led to reduction or reduce in the misuse of 356? They have already asked it. This one you can't expect one language only, but we'll discuss. Coalition government. Coalition government has come back 2024. So what is the advantages of coalition government? What are the challenges? There's a concept called as common minimum program. Those aspects. Then special package aspect, demand for new states, continuously, one or other issues. Criminalization of politics, one nation, one election, you live it. Speaker, anti-defection law in news, delegated legislation, fundamental rights, Article 16. Which one? Subcategorization of SC. In Karnataka, they are conducting a survey itself. Or broader aspect, Government of India has also agreed for what? Caste census. So, caste census aspect, subcategorization of SC, you can expect. Or subcategorization of OBC, Justice Rohini Commission. So, like that, very, very broad. Role of AI in justice, judicial accountability, Justice Yashwant Sinha, NJSC again, gender gap, All India Judicial Services, I forgot to mention that. Supreme Court, overall cases, governor issues, Gram Nyayalayas, RP Act, there is no major issue again. Some controversy with respect to exit polls last year. Bodies, Election Commission and Delimitation Commission. That's it. That is polity part. Then some issue related to Asha workers, 10 years of Swachh Bharat. Remember all 10 years, 2014, 2024. Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, 10 years. Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, 10 years. Jandan, 10 years. So landmark schemes, they are all 10-year schemes. So any scheme can become a question under your welfare schemes for vulnerable sections. See, 10 years of Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. Marital rape, you can't expect. Not so easy. LGBTQ question, if they want to ask it, that they can become. Death penalties, that's also a pending theme for a long time. World WHO kept on raising the issue of obesity issue, trans fats, public health education, TB, these are all not very important ones. Post Office Act, no, you can't expect. Hunger index, they have already asked, I'll show you that questions. Under trials, recall, because more than 70% of the people are under trials, of the people in jails. So for that, the issue of bail reforms, right to bail is a fundamental right. Bail is a what? Norm. Jail is an exception. That question is also pending for a long time. Or if you make it more broader, prison reform. If you make it more broader, because last year what you had? BNS, yeah, criminal laws, criminal justice reform also, BNS, BNSS, BSS, very long pending, Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita. I think even in other law, maybe I don't know if they asked the question on that in ethics or not, but GS-2 pending question, that is. Data protection pending question, which one? Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita, those are all pending question. Women reservation pending question. UCC will leave it. Delimitation pending question. Landmark issues they have not touched yet. I'm just showing you so that then Mission Karma Yogi, lateral entry, I've already summed it up. Yeah, so these are social justice, polity, governance. We still 1 or 2 subtopics were there. We'll be starting it from Monday. 1 or 2 classes will be open. You just come and sit. You'll get a broader idea. Then you can decide if you want to. You can follow the same approach and you can do it on your own. Everything is left to you. But especially for those giving this means, my suggestion: don't keep on wasting time if you don't have notes, because it's not so easy to sit and do for each and everything. At least try to finish it off in 10 days. Sure. So please come and attend on Monday and Tuesday. You'll get a broader idea about how the things will go on. Rest all, you decide. Take, at least learn the approach. Rest is your aspect. Yeah, thank you.